I would like to call to order the Pasco Board of County Commissioners' 10 o'clock meeting on June 20th, 2023. At this time, silence all electronic devices and mute your cell phones. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey. District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Here.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Here. And I'd just like to say, Commissioner Bradford, great to see a smiling face. Welcome.
Good to see you. Well, I think I could see you guys. It's great.
All right, please note Commissioner Starkey is here. Welcome back. Okay, now's the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any current or future agenda items coming before the board and on any other business on the board's purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take public comment for those who are here in person. Then we will take public comment for those who are pre-registered for a WebEx link and are currently on queue. We request that when you address the board, comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or a team member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. After stating your name and address for the clerk, a 3-minute timer will be activated. After 2 minutes, a single beep will indicate you have 1 minute left. When your time is up, 2 beeps will sound, and you should close your comments. WebEx participants will be disconnected automatically when their time is up. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do. I'll call up the first 3 names. First is Karen Hauser, followed by Brenda Broderick, followed by Ron Rordolph. Ms. Hauser? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Karen Hauser, and I live at 3744 Beacon Square Drive, Holiday, and I'm here to say thank you. The children in our neighborhood have been desperately in need of something to do. And with the help of you guys, thank you, Commissioner Starkey, and everybody else, and the Park and Recs, thank everybody. Park and Recs, we have an amazing park there now. The sign just got put up recently, and I was over there twice on Father's Day. The kids are playing, the people are picnicking. I just want to say thank you. I'm thinking that'll help, 90% of the crime, petty crime, is done by the 11 to 15-year-olds in our neighborhood. So, thanks.
She's an amazing champion for her neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you have your park now. It was just an empty piece of land with,
Yes.
When I first drove around there, I didn't even know we owned that park, so it was very sad. So great to see it coming to life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Brenda Broderick?
Good morning. My name is Brenda Broderick. I live at 10401 Alice M. Court in Port Richey, and I'm here to ask the board to please put on your agenda funding on behalf of my community because we are in dire need of help. I have been working with the West Market Action Committee. I have tried to, of course, speak with Chairman Mr. Mariano. He's been very busy. And we have an ongoing problem in our community with traffic around the lake that is excessive in speed. They've done speed control tests and put up more signs. It has not resolved the problem. Cars have crashed into the streetlights numerous times, actually every 3 weeks now. They have head-on collisions with the street light pole, and it falls on top of their car. I had a car that was in my backyard one evening. My neighbor had a car maybe 10 years ago go through the wall of her house. And I think since 2016, I have been asking for the fountain, which is the county property, to be working. And at one point, it belonged to our civic center, and it's now Day Springs Academy. But the fountain is part of the county's responsibility. It is the county's property. It is the county's fountain. And we would like to see that working to help with the water pollution in the retention pond. It is my understanding the pond is a retention pond, and that the water is very polluted from all of the runoff from the communities during the rain. So I see that this, I guess, is a budget meeting, and I'm kind of hoping that sometime soon in the near future that we can get the assistance that we need to stop the excessive speeding and the cost associated with it, and create a conducive environment that is sustainable for healthy living in our community.
What is your community?
Jasmine Lakes.
Jasmine Lakes, yes, we, right around the lake itself.
So if you would, Branford, could you meet with her and just kind of review? I mean, we've talked about, we've got a new trail that's coming too with Jasmine Lakes with a sidewalk around it. I've talked about actually dredging out that pond, putting the spoils up on the side when we put before we put the sidewalk in to raise it up, make it a better amenity. But I've got Venkat actually looking at, do we need to put a guardrail up around the edges, maybe in front of your house to the side? So they are looking at that too. But Branford can get up to speed and he gets things done.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time and for your consideration with our community.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Next person signed up is Ron Roldorf, followed by Pastor Troy Peterson, followed by Charles Anderson and Lisa Shippey Gonzalez.
Hello, board members. First of all, I'd like to congratulate
I'm
Jack
sorry, sir.
Mariano for being a grandfather
Sir.
before I get started.
Name
Good
and
luck.
address for the record.
Congratulations.
Sir, you have to state your name and address for the record, and then you can begin.
I wanted to say that before I stated my name.
So sorry.
Okay, all right. Ron Waldorf, 18723 East Road, Hudson, Florida, 34667. I was wondering, should I start speaking? Is Drew Baxter here today, the guy that's in charge of the parking in front?
Okay, please speak in the mic, sir, and address us.
Andrew Baxter is not here, but I'm here representing.
Okay, I'd like to talk to you about your handicap parking after I get done speaking. I'm gonna make it quick. Oh, I got a clock here, look at that. I got a derogatory letter from Mike Fasano. Apparently this guy's an elected official. He told me on the phone that he answers to nobody, not even Governor DeSantis. So I guess he's like Steven Seagal, he's above the law. They have taken away my First Amendment right. They have banned me from the tax assessor's office. They have made up lies and done things that are just unconscionable for anybody to do. I now have to go to the office on 19. There's a lady over there. If anybody can help me with that, I would appreciate it. I'd also like to mention that I'm handicapped, and the handicap parking out here is a disaster. You got all these spaces as you walk out the door to the right that should all be handicapped. I mean, I don't know who arranged this, but it's a disaster. I guess that's about it. I got a minute and a half, so I'll yield a minute and a half to the next person, so they got 4 minutes and 22 seconds.
What was this
All right,
issue?
thank you, and he'll take
Commissioner
care.
Mariano, congratulations.
Thank you very much. And that gentleman right there will take care of you and listen to your requests.
Pastor Troy Peterson.
I won't take that minute. Pastor Troy Peterson, 8114 Leo Kidd Road, that's Light of the World Tabernacle, Port Richey, Florida. I have a neighborhood block party flyer coming up, which actually addresses some of the things I just heard before me.
You'd like to put in.
Motion to receive a file.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
Any
you.
opposed? Okay.
So neighborhood block party, imagine that. That's one of the things that we've been blessed to be a part of with Somebody Cares, Pasco, Tampa Bay. and that'll be coming up this Saturday. Now, I want you to think about something. So the police department comes to Somebody Cares years ago and says, we got a serious drug problem on Limit Drive. Was wondering if you guys could come out there and pray. And so we went out there and prayed, and the police chief gives Pastor Leonard a bullhorn, and he starts preaching. Well, what happened is some people got arrested that were causing problems. Others started coming to church, and their lives were changed. And so last year during CareFest, many of you guys are familiar with CareFest, Port Richey Code Enforcement came to us with 20 code violations that are in the mobile home park there off Limit Drive. So Pastor Jerry Heckheis from Somebody Cares Pasco and owns the Oasis Coffee Spot. We have a men's maintenance team, and for several months on Thursday night, we just went and fixed them code violations for the people. Low income, some of them are elderly, on disability, and through that, we started building a relationship with these people, and the police department had given us a bunch of toys. So we're going to do a neighborhood block party next Saturday with the gospel trailer that I built. Daniel Bernard, Somebody Cares Tampa Bay, gave me like about 100 pounds of meat. We're going to cook it all up. We're going to do worship. We're going to just share the love of Jesus in the community. I want to appreciate and honor Commissioner Whitman, what he had said the last couple of meetings, and Chair Mariano, too, because, you know, the Word of God will not return void when you conceal them from their children. This is talking about the 10 Commandments, but to tell your generations to come to praise the Lord and His strength and His mighty works, that it be done, that the generation to come might know, even the children yet to be born, that they may arise and tell them to their children. It's talking about the 10 Commandments here, that they should put the confidence in God and not forget the works of God, but keep His commandments. So when you said that, God really began to speak to us pastors in the area. Yeah, that's a definite. We need to get the 10 Commandments back up on the walls in our city halls and in our county commission building. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Charles Anderson and Lisa Shippey Gonzalez.
Good morning, Lisa Shippey Gonzalez, 1341 Fox Chapel Drive, Lutz, Florida, 33549. Chairman Mariano, fellow commissioners, Mr. Carbala, Ms. Pearson, and all the teams at Pasco County. As chair of the United Way of Pasco County, we would like to thank your board for the unwavering support that you have provided us for many years. Pasco County has been a valued partner of the United Way physically and financially. Our agency takes pride in supporting over 45 local nonprofits with focus on issues such as education, mental health, substance abuse recovery, elder and child abuse, homelessness, human trafficking, and domestic violence. All agencies are vetted through a rigorous process that includes volunteers from the communities to ensure that the money that is entrusted to us targets the root cause of these issues and it meets the needs of a Pasco County citizens. I would strongly encourage everyone to participate in volunteering for the allocation committees. It is a great way to learn about the agencies serving our community. I've said it often and I will say it again, we truly live in the best community in the world. It's my honor to present to you a certificate of appreciation today. Pasco County Board of County Commissioners, our accomplishments could not and would not be achieved without the generous support of partners like you. Your support provides the investment and moral financial support needed to continue our mission in meeting the needs of Pasco County citizens. So thank you very much.
Move to receive and file,
Second.
I guess?
We'll second. We get a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Should we all get up for a picture?
Sure. Thank you. I sent you a picture. can get a face made of Gary and then hold it up, so it's in a picture.
We should.
A cardboard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. On Resolution RS2, we're going to continue that. Now it's time for consent agenda.
There's RS1. There's RS1.
Oh, RS1, I'm sorry, no, RS1, how could I forget RS1?
I don't know.
United Way threw me off there.
Yeah, you're,
All right,
you're
RS1.
kind of on this, Chairman, on RS1.
No, I'm sorry about that. So on RS1 as well,
Did you finish public comment? Because
all right, is there any, sorry. Is there any more public comment?
Mr. Chair, there's no one on WebEx, and that was the list
That was the
that
list,
had
okay.
signed up.
Okay, so we're going to close public
is
comment.
there anybody in the audience who didn't sign up?
If you'd like to speak for public comment, please come forward.
I am Sue Izzo. I live at 12710 Cornell Court, Hudson, Florida 34667. It's Country Club Estates. By now you have to know, we flood. I have pictures for you guys. Mary
Motion?
Factory gave me.
The motion received filed, do we have a second?
Second.
And a roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Okay, go ahead.
Next door to me, I believe that's at 11. The address is at 11. There's a retention pond, and we need maintenance because we don't have the ACO in Country Club Estates anymore. And they filled it, I don't know, a year and a half ago. They started out with sugar sand, that all went into the pond. They put gravel, that went into the pond. They lay sod, but the hole is this deep where the water rushes in on Cornell. The Powell floods horribly on Princeton. It's backed up. There's trees that are in this ditch that runs all the way down Cornell and Princeton, which goes out through the wall, under the street on Social, and goes into Beacon Woods and goes out somehow to the Gulf. If we could get some maintenance from the county, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the area. I know we did a lot of improvements recently. That is a big pond that we looked at before, and I thought we did some cleaning of it. Maybe it needs to be more. It looks like I do see some silt from erosion
Yeah,
coming
because
in.
all the water, like I'm at 12710, my east side of my property backs up to the community center. All that water rushes through my property. You can see the root from the last storm. I mean, I got a ditch, all the sand went to the street, which is gonna go into that pond. And I mean, we're trying to maintain it. Everything gets caught on the fence. Like I said, it dug out a big hole last year, and it's still there. And we got guideline cables this big, 2 of them running on the street. Nobody knows what it's for. There's also the county blowout belt, blowout for the water system right there by the pond.
All right. Branford, if you could talk with her, I saw Jason was in the audience too, so I'd be able to walk out there. I'm very familiar with that whole thing too, so, as I knew you are, so you take a look at it, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. And now we'll go to RS1. And if I could, I had a video that our Stormwater team did a phenomenal job on, which they had it ready for committee reports, but I'd like to show it now so the kids can see it as well. Is that all right, Commissioner Waitman?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Can we cue that up? Okay, great.
I saw the video, it's good.
So the kids in the audience, I want you to really pay attention to this because I want you to share this knowledge with your family and friends.
There's one. I'm Hans with Pasco County Public Works. You'd be surprised with what ends up in our stormwater inlets. Besides the occasional gator, we find mattresses, bicycles, even shoes. How does it all get here? More on that later. First, it's time to clean up and clear out. Over time, stormwater inlets get clogged with sand, leaves, and grass clippings. Natural things, but also cans, plastic bottles, and other trash. Our team clears all that debris so stormwater can drain properly. To better see what we're dealing with, our stormwater asset management team has a special camera on wheels. The camera goes where we can, checking stormwater pipes for anything that might block the water flow. The camera also helps us check the condition of the stormwater pipes to see if repairs are needed. And that's important because Pasco has more than 347 miles of stormwater pipes and more than 17,000 stormwater inlets. Once we analyze the video, the operations team shows up to blast water into the stormwater pipes and vacuum up any debris. Then we truck it all away. With clean stormwater pipes, cleaner water is now flowing into our ponds, rivers, and lakes, and some of that water eventually flows into the Gulf of Mexico. Clean stormwater inlets also prevent flooding, which means safer properties and less damage for everyone. So now you can see why dumping anything into a stormwater inlet or altering a stormwater structure is not only illegal, but harmful. Don't dump grass clippings, fertilizer, chemicals, paint, basically anything that affects water quality in the environment. Pasco has a waste drop-off site in Spring Hill that's open every day except Sundays. So bring your household hazardous waste here instead. You'll avoid a hefty fine for dumping in the stormwater drains. We want to protect your family and your property from flooding, and we want to keep our natural resources as pollution-free as possible. And you can do your part too. We hope you learned a little about how we're serving our community, and if you see a clogged storm drain, please let us know at mypasco.net or by calling 727-847-2411.
So I just saw that this morning, and I said, I wanted to show that to the board, but Brantford, you know, your team, Jason and company, and Mike, what you've done for the years past have been great for stormwater. And by the way, with Country Club Estates, first I've heard of that issue with their flooding again, because I know we did a lot of good stuff out there to fix it, so I'm sure we'll get to it. But I thought it'd be good for the kids to see it as well, and after grading all their water awareness posters, we're very impressed with everybody's effort. The whole litany of posters was awesome. So, Commissioner Waitman?
Thank you.
We'll read the resolution?
Is it time? You want me to read it?
No. Madam Clerk. I appreciate you bringing it forward.
All right, can we have all the students who are being recognized for their water awareness poster, please come up to the podium? Calling all students. Very good. I'm going to do my best with the names, but I'm going to probably need some help, so please, when I get to your name, if I mess it up, please just shout it out, and I will fix that, okay? All right, resolution number 23-139, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing and commending Pasco County elementary students receiving first place for their respective grade levels in the 14th Annual Water Awareness Poster Contest. Whereas clean, safe, and sustainable water resources are vital to Pasco County's economy, environment, and its citizens. And whereas the steps we can take to protect and preserve our water through educational partnerships and positive actions are encouraged throughout Pasco County. And whereas the Water Awareness Poster Contest was developed jointly by Pasco County Utilities and the Florida Governmental Utility Authority, FGUA, and the guidance of the Pasco County School Board to champion water conservation education. And whereas students are given the opportunity, with the assistance of dedicated Pasco County school teachers, to explore STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics-based teaching materials that expand their knowledge of water-related topics through artistic expression. And whereas this year, 1,346 posters were submitted, with more than 20,000 entries submitted from Pasco County elementary schools since the program's inception in 2010. And whereas winning posters were selected by a judging panel that included representatives from the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County Utilities, the FGUA, and community sponsors. And whereas the posters chosen displayed exceptional artistic merit, creativity, and clarity of message, and is representative of students at various levels of learning from kindergarten to 5th grade. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby thanks each participating student and teacher for their dedication in promoting water awareness through Pasco County and congratulates first place recipients Eliana, I almost had that, Tidwell. Which one is Eliana? Hello, cutie. Harlow Long. Adrika. And then last name is Subudi. Andy Friedman. Penelope McClune, I know you. And is it Dwarka May Bola? For their outstanding achievement, done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 20th day of June, 2023. Congratulations.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
A roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford. District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Commissioner Whitman.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, welcome, ladies, and thank you for joining us on your summer break, and thank you to the parents or folks that brought you here today. We have a sampling of pictures. Going to run up there, so if we scroll through them, if you see yours, shout it out, and that way we know who made which one.
Don't go so fast.
Yeah. Let's go a little slower that we can see them. Keep rolling and maybe we can see all 4 of them. We'll keep going. Well, Chair Mariano, you and the team, I know you guys were judges, and looks like you had a pretty fun time and some challenging decisions to be made, but it's important that we teach water conservation and the importance of water and water supply to young folks, and not just understand how important our water is as we get older. So I commend you all for taking an interest in water and what it does for us and our environment and our world, and it's exciting to have you here today. And thank you to Pasco County Utilities and Fugwell for sponsoring this event, and I hope that we continue to grow and keep the kids engaged throughout each year, or maybe a couple times a year. So with that, if there's any other comments, welcome those.
Just say, I think our whole team that was out there, we had a whole bunch of people looking at these, real closely grading them every step of the way. And everyone we picked, we're very proud of, and very proud of you guys for stepping up and doing such a great job. So thank you for that, and congratulations. Should we all go on for a picture?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Yes, okay.
Are the parents here? Please come up too.
Congratulations, ladies.
Good job. Congratulations.
Should we put the parents by the kids?
Here, who wants to,
Yeah, I can do that.
stand in the middle and look home?
I told her she's going to stand in front of us.
Here, girls, you guys want to step forward, and I'll stand behind you.
And then the parents too, or no?
We want to go up here?
Why don't you do kids and parents first?
Okay, yeah.
And then we can get one. Well, kids, parents, and board members, I'm sorry. So they have plenty of pictures of them and their kids.
So who's the parent of this lovely? Yeah. You want to come over here?
We'll move, come stand with your kids.
And we'll just get a team, and we'll go up on the dance.
Folks right here first, please. And then one more right here. Thank you. Great. And then everybody stay right there. Yeah, folks, stay right here.
Thank you so much. Just get back there.
Everybody right here. We'll let everybody gather first.
Yeah, everybody's still.
Okay. No, that's good.
And then find a spot where there's head not covering. There we go.
Are we ready? Yeah, we should switch, because you're gonna have walking. There you go. I think we're good.
Everybody, a few phones and then a camera, so right here, please. And then one more. Perfect, thank you all.
Thank you.
And then where does the remainder?
Some of the kids aren't here.
What do we do with the remainder with the?
Did you catch the front? Mr. Chair, can I add something real quick to that? Just-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just as a water professional, it's really cool to see the kids taking those lessons to heart. And I've judged it before. It's unfortunate I don't get to judge them anymore, but I'm glad you got the chance to go see that. This stuff's so much fun. In fact, I actually saved one. I actually swiped it one year, and this one was, I found it to be so creative. It says, "Save water, lick your plate. Let the dog do the dishes." I won't say the student's name. Who knows? May still be in school, but may already be graduated. But fantastic creativity by the kids out there on how to save water. There's no more water on this planet than there was when it first started, so we got to take care of it.
Yes, yeah. Great program. Okay, now is the time for the consent agenda. I have a few pulls in the consent agenda. C6, C15, C29, and C7. Are there any other pulls from the consent agenda?
See 6, 7, 15, and which ones, Chairman?
6, 7, 15, and 29.
29.
Okay.
Got mine, C7?
Yes.
I move approval on the rest of the consent items.
Okay, do we have a second? And roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. I do have a note on C6, it was going to be a public hearing item.
C6
It
has
must be
to
in the
move to the
afternoon?
afternoon, yeah.
That's why I moved that- C6 will be moved to the afternoon. So go to C7, Commissioner Starkey.
So this is the easement for the Orange Belt Trail. And I'm assuming this is the one that we worked on at Pasco, or Central Pasco Employment Center. Is that correct? Keith or Tina or anybody?
This is on Mr. Southworth's property.
Yeah, okay. See, there's no one here that knows about trail. And there's a couple things on there. One, it talks about a barbed wire fence. If there are no cattle on the northern piece, do we still have to put a barbed wire fence? Or does this say only if there are cattle?
Good morning, ma'am. Doug Anderson, Assistant Director of Facilities Management. Based on the information that I saw going back and forth between, for the MPUD and future development and also engineering, there will be live cattle that's requiring us to have the barbed wire fence or barbed wire on the fence. There were two options presented. F-dot type A and
And
type
what
B
is that?
fencing.
I don't know what that
I have some pictures right here, what the difference is.
do I have to
Can
have
you
a
show
motion?
them, can you show them the other?
But my question is, if there are no cattle, do we still have to have that fence? Because that's the Amazon site, and
The answer would be no. If there's no, we're not trying to keep any livestock, then you would not be required to have the barbed wire.
so we don't have to have a fence between the property and the trail?
No.
Okay,
What he said was you didn't have to have a barbed wire. I read this to say you have to have a fence.
well, that's not a good idea to have a fence, keeping the public from the trail. So I'd like to talk about that.
I think the idea is to keep the public from this property, not
Well, that's-
keeping the public
Well,
from.
that's how some people make it to work. I mean, you never put I've never seen there's no reason to put a fence there if it's not, I understand for cattle, but this is not a private, gated area, so this is a place of employment while people work, so.
Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to make sure we're discussing with the property owner that we don't need a fence if there isn't cattle.
Commissioner,
What is that?
I got to ask a
Rogan?
question.
That's,
How come,
well, that's a class,
you're saying the fence is covering a roadway, a public roadway?
It's marking off the right-of-way or easement between the cattle herders' property and the area where the trail will be going. So it's just to make sure that the cattle do not roam into
Right.
traffic in other areas.
and you have to have that. You don't want cattle going across the trail.
Right.
But when that land gets developed, there's no reason to have that fence.
Well, the cattle won't be there either.
Exactly. So I just want to make sure in this agreement that there doesn't have to be that fence once there is no cattle. Is or are no cattle? I know the property owners. The second thing is, just to make sure everyone remembers this, because I was on the State Greenways and Trails Council when the state passed this, any land that is owned by a private citizen that has a trail going through it, if it's open to the public, the state will take on the liability. So there's no reason for us to take on that liability if we don't, so just want to make sure, Mr. Administrator, that you know that that law exists in state statute.
Chair.
Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, good point on liability, Commissioner Starkey. I just want to make sure that the private landowner, obviously, people can, if the general public, folks wander, right? So I worry about the liability and the liability coverage that the private landowner would have to have. And that's just an additional cost to that private landowner. So agreeing with Commissioner Starkey, let's make sure that we limit the liability to the private landowner that's going to be, sharing this space together. So that's just my concern with it.
Yeah, and to
Mr. Starkey.
expand on that liability coverage, it's not just on the trail, it covers the whole boundary of the contiguous property that private landowner owns.
Is there a cap on the? There's a lot of acreage there, so it'll cover that whole hundreds
It'll
of
cover
acres.
if Mr. Southward is letting the public use that piece, which I'm surprised it's an easement, I thought we were getting that as a donation, but if whatever Mr. Southward's property lines are, if there's a trail, public trail going through his property, he is covered under all his property.
Well,
Commissioner Waitman.
He has no liability.
thank you, Chair. Since that's in my neck of the woods, let's confirm what Commissioner Starkey is stating, and let's reach out to the property owner and let them know, and that way everybody's covered, and try to limit the expense and exposure to the neighboring landowner,
Well,
please.
the property owner is, the way this agreement is written, the property owner is indemnified by the county commission.
Yeah, but I'm saying the county
So-
doesn't have to take that on, just to make you
So-
aware that the state will take that on.
Shall we continue this item to the next meeting?
I would recommend it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll need to get a copy of that image for the record.
Okay.
So if staff just wants to give it to my team, that would be fine.
Can we get you want a motion? Should we get a motion for that?
Move to continue? No.
We'll just withdraw it and bring it
Let's
back.
move to receive and file the paper, please. We'll
I'll
move to
second.
receive and file the paper that was just submitted.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and just withdraw it.
I'll make that
We'll bring
motion.
it back.
She made the motion, I
withdrawn.
seconded it.
Withdrawn? Okay. All right, C6 is gone.
You could,
C7 is
may,
gone.
you may want to take a vote on the receive and file so that it's part of the record.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to receive and file?
Yep, and you have a
A
second.
motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call?
Roll call.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Oh, my mic.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
So my mic was not on. Were you able to record what I was saying? Okay, it's on.
Okay, C15, Ben Hager.
C15, we're pulling that agenda item and moving it to the next board meeting.
Okay, and C29 is withdrawn as well. Okay. That will take care of the consent agenda.
It's a small one today.
Now we'll go to the regular agenda, R41.
Morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Ralph Lair, Intergovernmental Affairs Officer. So today, we're going to give you the legislative update of the 2023 session. I'm coming up first, and then I'll bring up Sean Foster, our contract lobbyist with Sunrise Consulting, and then I'll come back and kind of give you an overview of plans for next session. So I'm just going to give you like a 30,000-foot of what occurred in this past session. Legislatively, 1,873 bills were filed. Of those, 356 bills passed. At this point in time, 2 bills have been vetoed. 1 bill has been signed into law, and appropriations vetoes were done. That's the budget. 62 bills have been presented to the governor. 22 bills remain that have not gone to the governor. 6 bills were filed with the secretary. Those are resolutions to Congress. Those do not go to the governor. And then 263 bills have been signed into law. The legislature passed a $117 billion budget. It was about $5 billion larger than the current year and about $25 billion, or 27% larger than the state spending plan was just 3 years ago. The spending plan includes about $46.5 billion in general revenue funding and more than $70 billion in trust fund spending that's mostly earmarked for specific types of needs. Lawmakers in both chambers touted the large amounts of reserves that the legislators were able to set aside, nearly $11 billion, that will be held back for future needs for the state. On Thursday, June 15th, the governor signed the budget, which will go into effect July 1st, but he also vetoed 331 individual appropriations projects totaling nearly $511 million. So to give you some highlights of particular bills that passed or did not pass in our appropriations issues, I'm going to bring up Sean Foster now.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
You know, every session we go up there and we're like, this is like the toughest year we've ever seen on local governments. And I really, you know, you come back and you're like, it can't be as bad as last year. This year was just as bad as last year and even worse, I think they've hit on. But I'm going to go through, Ralph and I had met obviously almost every week during session, and you got our reports. We're going to go over some of the bills. Obviously, we tracked about 85 to 90 bills. Very active with the Florida Association of Counties, and another group that is a culmination of external lobbyists and internal lobbyists. We meet every Wednesday during session. So if you can go to the next page, the kind of overview. Just going to touch base one more. Real quick, 117 billion. I wanted to give you a comparison, though, real quick, to understand how big the budget's gotten. In 2012, 2013, our budget was 70 billion. So just put that in context. We're moving into 117, almost $120 billion budget, and we're only 70 million 10 years ago. I wanted to give you a breakdown so you can kind of know where those dollars come from a little bit too. 46.5 billion of our budget comes from general revenue. Almost 30 billion come from trust funds, and the remainder, 41 billion, is pass-throughs of the federal government. We have had extra federal government dollars since COVID. Those are trickling to almost 5 years and will stop in the next 2 years. And so that has very much helped our reserves. Let me just give you something on our reserves real quick. In 2019, we only had $4 billion in reserves. Let me let that hit first. We only had enough to last less than 14 days. Today, because of the reserves that the governor and the legislature have done, we've moved into now over $33 billion. We're higher than the average than other states have around the nation, and we're in a very, very good position. But
How many days is that? Do you
Pardon
know?
me?
How many days is
I think we've moved up to 35 or 36, but again, going back from the 16, that's moving up. The number is going higher, but so is our budget, so you got to get a higher percentage. But, I mean, for us to put away dollars that we have the past 2 years have been phenomenal. We've been very, very responsible. Next one.
Especially on the heels of a hurricane like we had.
Correct, absolutely. And we've been, and I know you mentioned a little bit, Ralph, but there's almost another $500 million for counties impacted by the hurricanes. There was $100 million down there just for the transportation and the bridge that you all saw that was devastated. Huge numbers. You see the big highlights: Florida retirement system. We'll touch base on that a little bit. Land use and development, property insurance, elections, school choice. Those were really the policy highlights, as you could tell. And you know, this is a leadership-driven process. You've got a Speaker of the House, you have a Senate President, you have the Governor, and therein lies those priorities, and houghly you have a smooth session. I think you can go to the next one as I'm talking, if you don't mind. We had a really, really smooth session. I have to really say the two houses got along really well. They were able to compromise and kind of both come out as they felt as winners. And I think the Governor, as you probably saw, pretty much got almost everything he wanted. A couple highlights on here: $2.7 billion in tax relief, permanent sales tax. We're going to talk about the fertilizer injunction a little bit. That's going to be impacting counties. And the last one there, just wanted to highlight the $4 billion Moving Forward initiative. It's prioritizing and accelerating the completion of 20 critical transportation projects around the state. One day we'll get done with I-4, right? One day we'll get done with I-4. The next one. I know Commissioner Seth Waitman is very happy about this one, $1.5 million. I know the school board is too. I even got a call from the schools. They were super excited about this one and how it's going to impact student safety along that roadway. $1.5 million. I think we had originally asked for $2 million, and we got $1.5 million. Just want to remind everybody too, this went through Senator Hooper's committee. He is the Transportation and Economic Development Appropriations. He's the TED Appropriations Chair for 1 more year. After that, we're in a pretty good position. He is the Appropriations Chair under Senator Albritton. So Pasco County has been very benefited by appropriations chairs in the past with Senator Wilton Simpson and, of course, Richard Corcoran. We will have Ed Hooper in another year. You can go to the next one. The vetoed one, of course. I wanted to bring this up to you just to kind of highlight a few things. When Ralph and I did some research, we found a kind of common denominator around the Tampa Bay area. This item was previously vetoed by the governor. Hernando County government, their only project that was vetoed was also previously vetoed by the governor. The city of Inverness, city of Brooksville, and another small city in Lake County. Just for the first 5 or 6 that I found in ours, every single one of those were vetoed last year, were also vetoed this year. So just take that into consideration. I don't know if that was their baseline, if they're looking, but a high percentage of projects, unfortunately, were vetoed previously. We don't get an exact reason why. If we can ask, and we'll just say it just wasn't the governor's priority. Even though there could be a boat ramp in Miami that got funded. So it's kind of hard to get the rhymes and reason. Next one, Pasco County Fire Mobile Command. I also wanted to show you that we did some research on the budget. Almost 75% of the projects that were good to go to anything for fire departments were vetoed if they were not a fiscally restrained county. That one I did get communications on. The governor has made it a high priority for these type of projects to go to fiscally restrained county. It is not in law, it is not in a rule, it is just the governor's priority that he feels that these dollars are very, very little that they're able to give to fire departments, and his preference is to fiscally restrained counties in that are listed in the state statute. Any questions on that part? We're doing good? All right. We're going to go to some of the legislation, and I'm kind of going to go. Obviously, we're talking about this one. Next one, Senate Bill 102. That is a 95-page bill, just to let you know. So we're putting this into a couple bullet points in here, but that's a 100-page bill. It was the president's priority, and it's very, very complicated. And so if you have any questions on it, Seth, you and I have talked about it, and I want to tell you and give you a good indication before I even get into this. On the preemption part, I've already talked to Senator Hooper. Senator Hooper would like to meet with the county about the concerns that we have on it and the implications that it has for future growth and economic development projects. And I talked to him on last Thursday about it. He's also even had other folks in the community already step up and talk to them and tell them how unhappy they are about that. So I thought you'd be kind of happy about that part.
Just, Mr. Chair?
Of course, please.
And just so you know, when Ms. Foster wraps up, I'll have more comments on this bill with the group here. So just get ready.
No, we'll do it. Why don't we'll go through this real quick, and then we'll go to that end, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman? 250, you see the numbers, the $252 million going to ship, $109 million to sale, $100 million loan program that's going to private companies, alleviating the inflation for related costs, $100 million to establish the Florida Hometown Hero Payment Assistant Program. So when you went through this bill, and when I've talked to people, there are good things in there, but then there's the next part on the other side, preempting the local governments that the commissioner is getting ready to talk about in commercial, and industrial, and mixed-use zones. It's going to prohibit rent controls, going to provide technical assistance to local governments to facilitate the use and lease of local government property for affordable housing purposes, and the last introduces several property tax exemptions for affordable housing.
What does that mean, provide technical assistance?
Guidance, that is a good one. I might have to get a little bit more. I think there was some rulemaking authority in that, so that was in there. I don't have all that, and that is stuff that Ralph and I will be working on shortly with the departments on that information for you. But let's talk. I mean, it is. I mean, I will tell you, I just want you to know it has been a conversation, not just here, but also in other counties already around the state. It has been the one issue, Commissioner Waitman, that I have felt that the legislature was going to come and hear from the local governments and go back, and I hope, I don't want to give you an indication that it would, I felt that this was one of the ones that they were going to hear directly from folks and know that they needed to go back and correct an issue that you had. If you want to go ahead and step in and talk about that for a second.
Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Foster and Chair. I'm kidding. Well, first, let's go back to the sidewalks.
Yes.
Heck,
Sorry.
I mean, as a freshman commissioner, to have our appropriation make it through, I just want to say thank you to you guys and Ralph and everybody here. And my appreciation to Senator Burgess and Representative Steele for putting the request in. Obviously, Senator Hooper for chairing and supporting our school kids, and Representative Maggard in his whip capacity. And then the remainder of the delegation, Senator Angolia, Rep. Yeager, and Rec Holcomb for their hard work. This is a great win for our school kids. And on the campaign trail, Commissioner Bradford and I, we heard it very loud and clear. Sidewalks are needed when courtesy busing was ended and kids needed to walk to school. And so very excited for everybody who attends Denham Oaks and Pineview Middle and Pineview Elementary that we scored some money, and excited for the school board. A true team effort, and thank you to our partners at the school board for helping support and getting this money for sidewalks. And as it comes in, I guess this is kind of a directive for Mr. Carballa and his team. Let's be expeditious in getting these built for our kids. Courtesy busing is probably not coming back anytime soon. Drivers are in short supply for anybody who needs a driver. But it's exciting. It's exciting for me. I think it's exciting for our school kids in our community. So thank you, Sean and Ralph and everybody for the sidewalks. And now we get into the challenging conversation here. So Live Local is here in Pasco. And we know where housing rich and jobs poor. And so with that, I'll ask Mr. Goldstein. There's a slide. I'll start off with this. Mr. Goldstein, there's a slide up here. I'd like you to help folks understand what this slide means. And so I'll ask Mr. Goldstein to take it, and then we'll come back.
This was a slide that was done by the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. And if you look, it's basically showing you which counties have a positive jobs to housing balance, and then with those that have a negative jobs to housing balance. And so I think when Senate Bill 102 was originally proposed, it was sort of done as a one-size-fits-all, but I'm not sure it really is appropriate for certain counties. And for example, if you look on this chart, all of the counties to what I'll say on the left side of the chart basically they're unbalanced. In other words, they have far more housing than they have jobs, and that's why they're showing as being jobs poor. So if you look at Pasco and Hernando, we're out of balance. In other words, we have far more housing than we have jobs. So to me, Senate Bill 102 didn't make sense to be applying to the counties on the left side of this chart because they need their commercial industrial areas to get back into balance. In other words, they need to have those areas for job production. The need for housing is not as great for the counties on the left. I think the Senate Bill 102 was probably designed for the counties on the right, which are jobs rich. In other words, they have an ample supply of jobs and not enough housing to support those jobs. And so the problem was that 102 just did a brush across the whole state and said, everybody's equal. We're, going to allow affordable housing in all commercial industrial areas. But they didn't take into account the fact that there are certain counties that need those commercial industrial areas to support job production. So that's basically what this chart means. So the hope would be that we could get some kind of exemption next session that provides some ability for the counties on the left to reserve their commercial industrial areas for job production.
And if I could just say, and this is the type of chart that your legislative delegation, starting with Senator Hooper, should see and have that conversation. I think a lot of them would agree. The other part is, like I said, this is a Senate president's priority, and it'd be really wise, maybe, Commissioner Starkey having a conversation with future Senate President Albritton, and having Senator Albritton kind of having that conversation maybe. But I think it's a conversation we start with the delegation and then leadership.
And we know, thank you, Sean, and thank you, Mr. Goldstein, for sharing that chart with everybody. We have Career Source Pasco Hernando here trying to get people in the workforce. We have partners with AmSkills trying to get people in the workforce. And when these opportunities are taken away from us and our decision-making ability to protect these preciously zoned properties is taken away from us, it's like that's the main part of this job. So right now today, before July 1, we have 3 Live Local projects in our pipeline, in Pasco's pipeline. They're all 3 on C2 zone properties, all 3. And they're not blighted areas. They're not areas of redevelopment. They're prime-time areas where good building products going in. And that's good tax revenue to our county. And these 3 projects right now have a total of 786 units that are in the pipeline for application that we have no control over. This board has no control over. There's no proper planning for these. So for traffic, roadways, et cetera, to come in with these number of units. And Alex Alt's here. And this is how challenging this is when we're planning and budget-wise for our sheriff and for our police and fire and how we are going to go about managing this and how we budget, especially because they're tax exempt. I think it's important that we hear from a representative from our sheriff's office to understand how they view it through their lens, just residential in general, but specifically unplanned growth in these high-dense areas. So, Alex, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Alexander Alt, Intergovernmental Affairs Officer for the Pasco Sheriff's Office. So, yes, so this is something I'm sure, as Sean and Mr. Goldstein mentioned, a big priority for the Senate President and the legislature this last session. And as Sean noted, what it really impacts is those properties that are zoned commercial, industrial, and mixed use, and basically says that for those properties, as you mentioned, Commissioner, are allowed to be multifamily as long as they have a certain percentage for affordable housing. And as all of the commissioners I'm sure have heard, this is something the sheriff has talked about numerous times as far as we've seen the growth in the county. Whenever you get a piece of land that was either zoned agriculture or commercial use and basically becomes either multifamily or some large housing development, you see a continued strain on government services, whether that be the sheriff's office, fire rescue, or just all government services in general. And the sheriff's had some presentations and talked about this in the past as well. And we've seen that as well with a study that the Department of Agriculture did that shows that commercial land and agricultural land use roughly, as far as public safety is concerned, use roughly about 30 cents to the dollar of revenue that you bring in. But for residential uses, you see it uses about $1.16, so you're losing about 16 cents whenever you take land that is agriculture or commercial turned into residential. Now, that all being said, the sheriff's talked to all of you about this in the past, and this is something that we've said that we wanted to bring to the commissioner's attention as you formulate your budgets and work on development for the future in the county. So we largely defer to you guys on that, but that was something that we wanted to make sure we brought to your awareness as well.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much.
So Sean and Ralph and Mike, when we look at losing these properties to a Live Local product, was it 40% has to be affordable and 60% they can be?
How long?
30 years, right? 30, tax exempt, preempt them from taxes for 30 years.
The
right?
whole complex or just
The
the
wh-
ones
no,
that are 40%?
The entire property, the entire thing. So 60% could be paying rents of not affordable, whatever that definition is of AMI. And then there's 40%. So the exemption, we really, I don't know how to even quantify if these three projects qualify in Pasco or they keep growing. Again, it's 3 of them, almost 800 units. It's not even July 1st. We have no control. What are we losing in revenues? So it's forcing us to figure out, well, and the sheriff to figure out a way to budget his folks and fire to budget their folks. We have to still provide services. I think there's a transportation component to it, right? Where if there's not a transportation piece within a certain amount of feet, then local government has to provide, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody please, we have to provide a public transit route to these sites that might not even be in a bus route. So there's a lot of challenges. I don't think our legislature meant any ill intent. There's a lot of good portions of this bill. But in local government pieces, especially counties like ours and other, rural and growing counties, we really need to stand together and lock arms to protect our job-creating sites. And that's not something I'm willing to back off of as much as I appreciate our delegation and our state and our governor. They partnered with us to help our kids with $1.5 million for sidewalks. That's fantastic. But these kids are going to grow up one day, and I hope they want to live here, raise a family here, and work here. I don't want to see those sites disappear because they're not a dime a dozen. So I just wanted to raise awareness and share my concern to it, and I think time is of the essence. I can't imagine what we're going to look like 12 months from now, next session, Sean. So with that, I'll close and thank you for your work and leave it over.
Mr. Starkey.
Yeah, I did not know we had these 3 applications. Can someone tell me where they are?
I believe we've got one in the
He said Zephyr
holiday area.
Where?
There's another couple off of Zephyr Hills in that area. They're not formal applications at this time. There's interest that's been expressed. So July 1st is when these things take effect. So we don't have any formal site plans submitted yet. This is what's out there on the wire currently.
Mr. Chair. Andy, do you have where these things are? These projects are located exactly? Because there's 2 on the west side and the west side districts, and there's 1 in Commissioner Oakley's district.
Yes, sir. I have a spreadsheet I'm happy to share with the whole commission or if the team wants to. But off the top of my head, Commissioner Starkey, 1 is on Mitchell Boulevard. 1 is on 54 in Zephyr Hills. It is in District 1, but in near not far from Lake Bernadette, and then the other one is in District 5, Mr. Chairman. It is on 19, but it's in your portion further north.
You know whereabouts?
I would have to pull it on the map. I have the parcel IDs and all that as a spreadsheet.
North or south of 52?
I'm sorry?
North or south of 52? Even?
I don't recall at this exact moment.
Okay.
I don't want to
Andy,
say
if
it
we
wrong in the
can
microphone.
share these with our team, whatever the rules
Yes,
are to
sir.
share where these are, I share with each commissioner, please.
Could you put that graph up again?
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Chair.
Now, the graph is a very telling thing as far as coming up.
Hill Point is what they're calling it, 30-acre parcel, 19, northwest side of 19.
Okay. So
Okay, look up the Mitchell.
with all the counties, I'm assuming all these dots represent the 67 counties, correct?
Get a letter on Mitchell.
Yes, there just wasn't enough room to put every county on the ground.
So I would say everything from, let's say, that Hernando line at point 8, we should definitely have all those counties should be excited about trying to turn this thing back. Maybe even as far as point 9 to go take a look. Because if we're going to look at the effect of what we just heard with the sheriff's office, all these apartments coming in without the jobs to go with it, it just kills us, and we just keep doing it over and over to ourselves. We need to slow this down to not incentivize even more coming forward. And I would think with Florida Association of Counties meeting the following week, this is a good time to rally with this group, to get them together, to put on FAC's notice to say, this is what they're doing to us, this is what the effects can be, and let's go get this from the county perspective and make this a big priority for them for the coming year. Other thing, I think, when I look at everyone's got the session dates calendar, starting September 18th to 20, September 18 to 22 of this year. First committee week is number 1. Sean, I probably want to lean on your expertise a bit as far as when's the best time for us to go up there. Obviously, we've learned earlier is better. So with this issue, especially being a leading one.
This time.
Exactly. So let's get started early, though. Let's have an effective presentation come in the first committee week. If you think it's appropriate, if you think the second one's better because of different things, so be it. But we definitely want to get the committee weeks, not just like when everything's already been done and decided by their own meetings. Ralph?
Yeah, and I have some planning dates already scheduled that we'll talk about when Sean gets done. If we can get him back on his presentation, he's got a few more bills, and we'll discuss that.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to emphasize real quick that, Ralph and I were just talking, you mentioned FACT. You all need to collaborate together, work together, make this a priority for FACT. I mean, I'm not talking number 20, I'm talking right up there, number 1, number 2, number 3. This needs to be a major priority. And yes, we will absolutely start earlier. And I'll go on to the next bill. Just remember, and I think it's a good analysis, a couple of years ago, I saw Pasco Economic Development put out a PowerPoint. It had Pasco County, more people leaving Pasco County to work in another county than any other county in the Tampa Bay area. Hernando was up there pretty high in citrus, but Pasco had the most. Those are the type of things we really need to emphasize our delegation. We need to keep our folks home. We need to keep these jobs here and continue to increase economic development. So I've got the message, and I think Commissioner Oakley, Chairman, had one more.
Commissioner Oakley.
Yes, I know we're kind of upside down right now, but what's in the pipeline coming to Pasco County and East Pasco County, there's a lot more warehouse and jobs coming in East Pasco County with a tune of probably 101,000 jobs coming along with it. And for the future of what's coming in jobs for East Pasco and Pasco County and as a whole, we don't have enough housing for the jobs that we're going to be making come forward in the near future.
But Commissioner Oakley, what if...
I mean, it's kind of upside down right now, but it's coming. So I'll give you an example. Moffitt's a big deal. 16 million square foot of doctor space, research space, all that. Right at 75 and 52 in that quadrant or those corners, we're going to have over 21 million square feet of different businesses coming in with jobs in that area. So in that pipeline, there's 101,000 jobs coming, and we don't have enough housing for the jobs we have in the near future.
So shouldn't the focus be, with Moffett coming in, they've got tens of residential development approvals all around them.
Right.
Around 75, 52, it's coming all around them. Shouldn't the focus be, bring the jobs, the housing will come right with it, right behind? Instead of us being what we built as a bedroom community first, and then we started getting the good stuff. Well, we're in a position right now, we can control what we want to get. As someone said, we're the prettiest girl at the dance. Thank you, Carbella. So let's make it work, where let's go get the stuff we want to get in, let's go get the jobs here, and then go figure out where the housing should go, rather than just go, let's get the housing because the jobs are coming.
Well,
as you can see with the chart,
The
we're
houses
back,
are coming right along the same place
but
where the
right now,
jobs are
we're
coming.
back, on the chart that shows, we're back on the other side of this. We still have too many houses for the jobs we got. And the more land we take up for more and more housing approvals, call it these apartments, et cetera, you're taking away space that could be used for other things.
Pasco Town Center with 2 large warehouses coming there, they're breaking ground on July.
So let's
Middle of July.
let's
That's
look,
coming.
So let's look for that going around there, but let's
One
make sure they're
warehouse
coming.
there is 1.3 million, and the other one's 1.6 million square feet, and jobs. But
Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you, Chair. Great dialogue. So this is a point in this bill that I want everybody to understand. Any property that's currently zoned commercial, industrial, and light industrial, if there are not conditions or deed restrictions on these properties, all the property that you talk about that's coming in your area, Commissioner Oakley, it is all vulnerable to Senate Bill 102. That landowner can take their property that has these job-creating zonings that we intend and plan for and zone properly for the jobs you talk about, and can sell that to an affordable, live local, affordable housing multifamily vendor without our consent. And these job-creating sites can be eroded away and completely change the makeup of our industrial hubs, our job-creating sites, without our control. Any property that's already zoned that we're talking about is vulnerable to being plucked off, and then there's a tax exemption for 30 years. So that revenue we're planning for in the future is erased. And then there's extensions on that after 30 years that these projects can be extended for a longer period of time and be tax exempt and preempted from taxes for local governments to capture money to be able to fund the necessary services that are provided. So it's fantastic that we have these mega job hubs coming here. My concern is, it's a great concern, and then we've seen it because all three of these are on C2 zonings that were intended to be job-creating revenue sites and tax dollars coming into our county, to be eroded away and the landowner not want to wait around, and they cut a deal with a live local builder, and it's gone, and it changed the makeup of the Pasco Town Center, changed the makeup of what we have going on 52, on what we're talking about here on the south side of 52 between Old Pasco Road there and Cutoff. Anything that's zoned to create a job in this county currently is vulnerable, and we've seen that the people who want to build this product will go after those, all three commercially zoned sites. And so that's why I'm bringing this to our attention today, that we really need to take a look and understand and be mindful and watchful, especially our planning commission. If they start seeing all of a sudden a bunch of changes coming in, Mr. Goldstein, for not resi, but for commercial and industrial coming in, make sure that the planning commission understands that, hey, we need to call the question, what's the intent here? Because anything with those zonings are vulnerable.
Can we?
So, Mr. Chair, so we are already doing that. So if it's a new commercial or industrial mixed-use project, staff routinely ask the applicant if they're willing to deed restrict it to prevent the application of Senate Bill 102. The issue that we have is that anything, the old commercial zonings, the old industrial zonings that predated any recent approvals, Commissioner Waitman's absolutely right. We can't stop those from becoming multifamily.
Can I get confirmation that they're not, maybe Andy's the one here who's read the whole thing, but that they don't have to pay taxes for 30 years? We're trying to find it here in here. That's very egregious to me, because where do we get the money for the support services that come along with residential?
So Andy Taylor, legislative aide to Commissioner Waitman for the clerk. So it's a complicated bill. I think there's a sliding scale. I would probably defer to the lobbyist and the attorneys. There are significant property tax exemptions. The 40% is they have to maintain it for 30 years. The 40%, that's part of it. I believe there's a sliding scale on AMI. Where they have that, there is a piece that, but I would honestly rather defer to the lobbyist and attorneys.
Andy, Ralph sent out a bullet point list in Goldstein when this was going on. I think it's important that we read those bullet points off of what we know for a fact.
I think Ralph may have a copy. Oh, yes, that's right. Ralph actually sent that out via email again this morning.
Can we get that up on the?
I have it up. It does say that the tax exemption sunsets on December 31st of 2059.
Oh, how wonderful.
2059.
36 years.
So let me, does anyone know, is any multifamily workforce housing, or what do we call it, tax exempt? Or are these getting something special? Because I don't recall that they're all
I think
tax
what you're,
exempt.
I think what you're seeing, Commissioner, is this is a blunt force instrument, as David kind of put it, a broad brush to essentially, you lack your local control, so you can provide incentives for affordable housing in any manner in which you choose, including where you zone them, where you put them. What this bill does is it takes your existing lands that you've already got set aside, commercial, industrial, light industrial, and essentially gives you no choice in the matter.
No, I understand that, but if they're going to be tax exempt, if a multifamily workforce housing project can be tax exempt for 30 years, does that include others like Dominium that are coming in and others that are building workforce
The
housing?
answer is yes.
Yeah,
They've
I mean,
met
my only point there is, yes, I mean, we can craft whatever deal we want with whomever we choose. We have that control. What this does is basically takes away your power to do it. You have to provide, this is the deal. This is the deal, versus you crafting the deal into what makes sense for us as a county.
I'm just going to clarify on the tax exemption. What it means is that all developers can now receive a property tax exemption on the portion of their properties used for affordable housing.
So the 40%, so they get a
Correct.
40% reduction?
Correct. If their properties qualify, including market rate developers, and then affordable housing property tax exemptions in the Section 9 of the bill. Like I said, it sunsets in December 1st, 2059.
But Ralph,
Yes.
that section leads with, notwithstanding two other sections, the Board of County Commissioners of the county or governing body of the municipality may adopt an ordinance to exempt those portions of the property used to provide affordable housing meeting the requirements of this section. That, to me, gives them the option.
Yeah, okay, you're reading that whole section.
You're reading the actual bill, we were reading the bill summary.
I gave you the summary, but we'd have to go back in there and look at that just to verify.
Yeah, I'm just, there may be something else buried in here, but,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot.
the language in Section 9 seems to give them the discretion of whether they adopt that exemption.
So there's actually two different exemptions.
Okay.
There's a local option one, and then there's a mandatory one that we have no control over.
Okay.
So you're probably reading the local option.
Why, what would be optional if there's another one that's mandatory? Someplace else in the bill. Yeah.
So to that point, and Ralph will go here when Sean is finished and kind of talk about our approach to next session's legislative process. These are things that we will go over. We'll look at revenue implications, what that means for the county, and we're going to come up with a strategy to work with our local delegation to hopefully make some changes to this. And that'll be part of the process that Ralph is going to outline when Sean is done.
Well, I think what we need to do, we'll talk about committee meetings coming up, session dates coming up, and the FAC thing coming up, but I think our two attorneys here and our two assistants here with government affairs need to get together and go figure out where we actually stand. Is one mandatory, is one not mandatory, does the mandatory one overrule the other one? Let's go find out what's really in the bill and put a strategy together. So I think that needs to be top priority within the next couple of days.
So what Ralph and I had already talked about is we're going to be putting together a one-pager for you. We'll work with Andy and others and your county attorneys. This could be that type of information that you'd, pass out to the
But
legislative
I
delegation.
think it's deeper than what we just heard right here with this dialogue.
Right. We'll
We're
put
not
it all
sure what
together.
we got in the bill. You're reading the summary, he's reading the actual bill. We got conflicting information. Let's go find out what's in the bill.
We'll get it for
And
you.
put a plan together. But I think you guys really need to get together today, tomorrow,
We'll get
and
everything
get
together
this
for you.
squared. Okay. Anything else for that?
Chairman.
Or what, do you want to
Well,
keep
I
on
think we probably have to
continuing?
workshop that.
Thank everybody.
I'm going to go over brief.
Yeah.
Go.
Real brief,
There's
a
more.
few other bills. The county attorney's already, I'm sure, very familiar with Senate Bill 170 that's coming up. It relates to challenging local ordinances. This was, local government must produce and post a business impact estimate. It's going to actually even limit, there's the attorney fees. If you lose, local ordinance will have to be suspended if an ordinance has been challenged. So all that's in there. I know Mr. Steinsteiner and his folks are familiar with it, but if you need more information on that, we'll provide that also for you. 1604, that's the next big one. This is you want to talk about another complicated bill, a bill that changed throughout session. I'm going to say these words to you. The Reedy Creek, this was the Reedy Creek bill for the Disney bill.
Wasn't at first,
It
but then
wasn't
it
at first,
became
that's
the
why I'm trying
Reedy
to tell you,
Creek.
it had changed and everything had changed in there, so it came this is a great example of what happens during session. This was a strike-all amendment, they redid everything and came in with this language and changed what the entire bill had. The first two bullet points are the most important. I know some of you are already aware of this. It's going to increase the planning periods from a 10-year, 20-year period, and the 5 and 10. But most important, you'll see there, it's going to remove local government's ability to require building design elements for residential dwellings and planned unit developments and master plan communities. So again, this was a priority of the governor on the bottom, not the other items, so they kind of mixed this bill together. That's where that culmination came through, and we'll give you, again, a lot of information. That is a very large bill. Not really going to go into much on to 1379. I'll just touch on 250. But Senate Bill 250 says, but under the emergency management, that you won't be able to increase the building fees until October 24. And it actually clarifies what the issue before, a 45-day grace period following a hurricane for derelict vehicles. There's other bullet points on there, but I know we've gone on. But if there's any questions on that, we're happy to provide it. And the last two, I'll kind of just mention HB 89.
Hey, Sean?
Yes,
Just
sir.
go back to that previous one.
Yes, sir. I figured there'd be more questions on that.
Yeah, so on the H Bill 1379, I think it's something we need to really go take a close look at. The new Port Richey plant that we have, as it discharges water from the reports we're getting, it's killing a lot of sea life, wildlife out there. The neighbors complained about it. That looks like exactly what we're talking about as far as like trying to put something together. That's a big project, but instead of going for small stuff, let's go for a big one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll just leave then on HB 89. It's going to prohibit local government, again, I told you in the beginning, this was a lot on mandates that are unfunded and prohibitions against government, ending on this one. It's going to prohibit local governments from making substantive changes to building plans after a building permit has been issued, unless such changes are required under the building code and fire prevention code. And lastly, if a local government makes changes to building plans after a permit has been issued, the local government must identify in writing what it does not to conform to the applicable code. So as you can see, then there was just some of the touches. There are other bills that Ralph and I followed for you throughout session. Any of the information that the staff or your attorneys need on the bills, we'll be happy to provide it. I am actually thrilled to see you all so involved, and unfortunate, the issue that had been mandated to us, it is something I think we need to act upon quickly, and we'll do it. We'll make sure we'll get it. We need to make it in very understandable terms on like a 1 or 2 pager for our legislative delegation, because you can assess right here, we're trying to figure out everything that happened, and these folks, had to come through them very quickly, and they're going to have to assess this before they get back into their session. It's going to be happening very quickly in September. So it's a pleasure representing you. Commissioner Bradford, glad to see you back there, my friend, and congratulations, grandfather, Mariano, and a healthy grandbaby. Yes, sir.
Chair.
Commissioner Waitman.
Thanks, Chair. Commissioner Starkey's brought this up several times. Do you have a little more clarity on which bill was it that dealt with, that was a Reedy Creek bill with the architectural design standards and lot sizes?
That one.
Can we go into a little more detail on that piece, please? Well, I started with the good stuff.
Of course. These were the 2 big ones. Yeah, 102 and 1604. What kind of questions did you have, Commissioner, on some of these, on how it happened, where it was? I mean, these are just 4 brief points.
Yeah, so last board meeting, we started talking about, I think our boards looked at quality and value in our building products, kicking off this 2023 with our new board, 2023 commission, and we brought up, setbacks and architectural design with landscaping and townhomes, and Commissioner Starkey was it last board meeting with the presentation that we were discussing on working with the development community and TBBA on what we want the product to look like. And I don't think that we just want to have to bluntly say no or vote no on certain product. We want to have been able to massage it, right, and get what's best for that area. Do you foresee any ability to loosen the reins a bit? That way we can have better discretion maybe next year on what we want to see built here. I mean, we're housing rich, right? We're very housing rich, and it's selling for astronomical prices these days. So of course we want the product to look good, and so does the homeowner, the investor. So.
I know he's getting ready to come up. I was going to say, we did put together that amendment. We did put together your request. We were told adamantly no. I mean, it is not happening, we're not changing it. I mean, it was very adamant. So we did bring the concerns to the sponsors of the bill. Senator Ngolia was the sponsor of that bill. And the information, I think, again, one of the folks that we need to go to immediately, he swore that this was a priority higher than him, and he wasn't able to change, but I'll let Ralph kind of take it from there.
But this is on 40 and 50-foot lots. Is that what this is?
On anything.
Yeah.
Or anything?
Any architectural standards.
Which we
I
don't
heard it
worry
was
about
40 and
that with
50s.
60-foot lots or above. That product's a little bit better,
Yeah.
and, you're gonna get a lot more.
We don't have to have that product, so.
You don't. Bottom line, you can
I
always
don't have
say
a problem
no.
if they don't build something nice for our county. We don't have to have that.
Yeah, bottom line.
And to Commissioner, that's my point to that, to Commissioner Oakley's comments. I don't think this board just wants to draw a hard line and say no. We want to have the discretion to approve the appropriate building product in the appropriate space, and to be able to have, it's price points, right? But regardless of how large or small the lot size or the house is, we want a good quality home for our residents to live in and be proud of what's here. And I hope the builder is proud of what they built here. So that's why I bring this up, is exactly to Commissioner Oakley's point, is we're being forced to potentially make a hard-line decision or we wouldn't maybe necessarily have to do that.
Mr. Chair, can I add one thing?
Ms.
So
Goldstein.
this bill does not prevent a developer from imposing their own private architectural requirements. So what's happened since this bill took effect is I've seen at least 3 or 4 projects that have 40 and 50-foot lots. They are putting new language in their MPDs that says that the developer will, on their own, will impose these restrictions on themselves. So that's how they're attempting to get around.
Some of them,
Some of them are, but
The
but they
likelihood.
don't have
not
to.
all of them.
But they don't have to do that.
That's the problem.
That's the issue.
Yeah, you don't have much leverage, but you have some leverage to work with them, and you are finding that some developers are willing to
But
do
to
that.
Commissioner Oakley's point, if they don't agree to it, in theory, you could just not approve 40 and 50-foot lots for that MPUD.
I agree with that
You don't have any
statement 100%.
obligation
We
to
have a
approve
choice,
50-foot lots.
100%.
But I will tell you, that I've been out looking at different communities, because we've been talking about the 40s and 50s, and I've been doing that over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We have a lot of guys stepping to the table to do better landscaping, better architecture.
You got my pictures?
And they're willing to do that.
But I'm
Those
gonna
that
show you
aren't
some
willing
that
to do
aren't.
that don't have to build here. They can build somewhere else. So,
Wait till it's my time. Yeah.
okay.
To reiterate what Sean said, I got to say, this is great discussion. This is what your legislative process should be. This is how we do it at FAC. We have these discussions. We bring forward legislation. As you said, Commissioner, this is coming up with the annual convention next week. I know that Commissioner Starkey and Commissioner Mariani, as board members and chairs of some of the subcommittees, you will be there. And we need to start working with, on that one bill, the Live Local, those counties that fall within that parameter, because I can assure you that there are 66 other counties that are struggling with Live Local now and trying to understand it now that session has come to an end. Going forward, when we do our legislation, that's what I wanted to bring up. So as you saw in one of those handouts I gave you, session dates during an election year are moved up in the how we did it in state law. So committee meetings start the week of September 18th, and then October 9th, October 16th, November 6th, November 13th, December 4th, December 11th, and then the first day of session is January 9th. That being said, I know the delegation is currently discussing and looking at a delegation meeting, but to avoid the delegation meeting, what we're proposing to do with how we handle our process in-house and moving forward with our legislation, I have given you some planning dates. And the planning dates is when we, as the organization, as the county and the employees, we now look at legislation that, that we have seen through the years that we may need to propose so we can be proactive and give some good legislation. So we'll start discussing that within the organization this month. I actually kicked the ball off at our last team leaders meeting, where I asked the organization to let me know of what legislation we need to do, which also includes legislation that has passed that happen this session, that we can maybe go in and tweak it and change it this next session. Doesn't mean we can actually get it done, especially when, in the case of the Live Local Act, the president will still be in, the president in the Senate, and it was a priority. But we could look at that. So, you know, all during session, I gotta say, the organization, your team has been very engaged on legislation, giving us feedback. County Attorney's Office, Planning and Development, Building, you name it, tourism, but they were all engaged. And in all the years that I've been here, it has only grown and improved. And this is how your intergovernmental affairs office should be working. So what we want to do is now say, let's be more active. We hate always playing defense up in Tallahassee when they won't consider amendments during the process. They only give you a couple of minutes to discuss your point. So why not meet with them before they start committee meeting? Why don't we have, and I know some of our surrounding counties do this, they have a workshop. So as we have done our workshops with our municipalities, my proposal is that we do a workshop with the state and the federal delegation, bring them in for about 2 hours like we do with our local governments, sit down and discuss. It's a good opportunity to even say, when you consider a bill that's going to have an impact on the county, why not pick up the phone and give us a call and say, how is this going to affect Pasco, before you actually vote on the bill? But this gives us that ability to discuss. So I would propose that we do it the week before they start their committee meetings in September. Before we do that one, once we have gathered the material from the team of possible appropriations projects, big ticket items, one or two, one on each side of the county, or one big one. I know we have a lot of big projects that are coming down the pipeline. They might not be ready for build. Always remember that. And it better be in your business plan. These are other things that Mike Carballa has asked the team to take into consideration. Stop throwing projects up against the wall and seeing what sticks, is how it seems to have been done at the last minute. So we don't want to do that. And it's not fair when they get vetoed. Items get vetoed. I hate that. So we've got to take a lot of these things into consideration. So during the months of June, the rest of June, July, portions of August, we'll have all that worked out behind the scenes. And then the proposal would be to have a workshop with you all where you can then look at the proposals, decide what you want to move forward with as your legislative priorities and platforms for next session, which includes appropriations as well.
Ralph, that sounds like an awesome plan. I love the workshop ahead of time. I love staff setting these things up and thinking big on whatever the projects are. And if we can coordinate with our state and federal delegations, I think that's phenomenal. That would be the ideal, because there's probably nothing better, like we learned in the, when we had the 3 counties just recently got together, having everybody face-to-face of what we're all doing. If we can talk to them face-to-face with everybody in the same room, with open communication, it's a little bit different in Tallahassee, going from room to room to room, but having everybody together, where everybody hears the same dialogue, I think would go a long way.
Again, that's being proactive.
I love the approach, and it's a nice, open approach.
Yeah.
So, very good.
Mariano.
Commissioner Bradford.
Yes,
Yes,
Commissioner.
sir. I've been listening to this discussion, and I just want to point out a couple of things. When we look at big projects, one on the east side, one on the west side, I think that reinforces this, us against them, which is, as you know, that culture is very real. Well, what about the middle? There's a little place called Moffett being built, just a little small place. But I would say that Moffett and that economic engine is going to be the future of Pasco County. And I think, along with some other very good things. But I think as we move forward, we should always keep that in mind and always add that to the discussion. Thank you.
I appreciate
Commissioner
that,
Bradford?
Commissioner. Yeah.
Commissioner Bradford, I think that's excellent. I mean, we have transportation impact fee zones in 3 categories. We should have 3 categories. It should be 3 projects as well, so great idea. That's great input.
Here's how I look at it, though. When I say east and west, the dividing line is 41, US 41. And so that's how I come up with east and west.
No, nothing wrong with what you said, but I think Commissioner Bradford brings up a great point to like, let's go for 3 projects anyway. And as you say, with Moffett right in the center, you got.
And we don't have to, say a number. It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be one big one.
Right.
It could be your new EOC, type of a thing.
I think 3 is good. Commissioner Mike Carbella.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what it underscores, or what the point is that we need to focus. And I think as an organization, these workshops will give us the chance to set those priorities and move forward. And then I love the idea of coming back with our delegation too, and even including our federal delegation in that, because I think there's some untapped potential there that we haven't really been as deliberate about. What's not in there, of course, is there'll be a lot of tactical missions, I guess, if you will, that will have to happen come September, October, November. And again, we'll need to be aligned on that to ensure that we can take this and push it over the goal line. And that's probably as important, if not more important, towards the end. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to get that out there.
I'd like to say, Ralph, are you going to FAC as well, I'm assuming?
I unfortunately will not.
You will not, okay.
I was
So-
playing out, but I'll talk to you later about it.
All right, so let's get together, though. Jeff, you'll be up there? And I think we might need to bring Jeff in to help us with anything, so.
Okay.
Let's get organized
So
for
you
that.
3 will definitely be up there. I
We'll
don't
be up
know
there.
if any of our rockers are going.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we'll discuss that in the meeting.
Okay, if you're okay, I'm okay. Let's close this item. We got 2 more items to go that are very important. Next one would be the graduation of our spring 2023 Citizens Academy.
I got an earful today.
So I know it's supposed to be 11 o'clock time certain, but as you see, we got some big things going on, but this is very important, so please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Stefania Dewey, Executive Assistant to Mike Carballa, County Administration. Today, we celebrate the Spring 2023 graduating class of Pasco Citizens Academy. Pasco Citizens Academy is an 11-week educational program designed to give citizens a backstage pass to their county government by providing an in-depth look at the unique challenges facing county government, programs and services, budgetary limitations, and the day-to-day operations from elected officials and county team members. On behalf of our program manager, Derek Berger, who just welcomed his 3rd child, I will present certificates of completion to those able to join us today. Following the presentation, we ask that you join us for a group photo. Participants, when I call your name, please come up for your certificate and stay standing behind the podium. Aaron Churchman. Clinton Wynn. Dawn King. Diane Sheffs. Heidi Doe. Jenny Rosignol. John Post. Kawan Affer. Kyle Mulder. Nadine Ferguson. Omar Towell. Scott Winston. Congratulations to the Spring 2023 class. We hope you enjoyed our program. Thank you for your interest in learning about what we do every day to make a difference in the lives of those we serve.
We're currently accepting applications for the next Pasco Citizens Academy, which starts fall 2023. More information can be found on our website, mypasco.net. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to defer to Commissioner Starkey, who had this great idea to bring this forward.
Yep, and now we do 2 a year. So it's great. I hope y'all enjoyed it and learned a lot about what your local government does. And we'd love to hear comments from the class, so if you want to address us and tell us how you found it and maybe some things that you learned that you didn't know about your local government, come let us hear from you.
So, my name is Aaron Churchman, and I like to do things for my community. So me and my wife, we'd hold get-togethers and feed the homeless and then hold events and stuff like that. So I decided that I wanted to get more involved and figure out how to impact it more. With a good influence platform that I currently have, I just started searching online. And I came across Pasco County, the website. And I actually stumbled across it because it's kind of difficult to navigate through it, but it was just right there in my face. So I went through the process and applied for it, didn't know what I was going to expect, and it was just a total...
Mind blow.
Yeah, mind blow, exactly. And I'm very glad that I was able to join this class and learn a lot in depth about the community. And it's given me a lot of ideas and hopefully door openers that I can communicate and connect with you guys. And I mean, it was a great choice on my behalf, I believe.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good morning, Clinton Wynn. Growing up here my whole life, I did not actually understand how large our county has gotten. I mean, we only had our, few elementary schools, few high schools, and then I went away to the University of Florida and got my education and then came home. And understanding the vastness and, fellow classmate, childhood friend, Mike Wells, instead of me complaining or bringing issues to him, he's like, get involved. So then he got me to be on the CAC, and now I'm also doing the West Market. And I just want to actually be an active participant in the community. I'm passionate about our family property. That's my daughter's 5th generation. I'm trying to preserve some kind of legacy there for her. It's important. My grandparents bought in '53. So I just really enjoyed meeting all these really excellent people in our class, but also learning about each stage of our government and seeing facilities I never even knew existed, which are top-notch. I really will say. I mean, you guys have done a great job. Still complaining about the roads. You're always going to hear me saying that. So, but I'm always going to continue to be an active voice. But I want to be constructive. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for serving on CAC as well.
Good morning. I'm Kyle Mulder. I've been in and out of Pasco since about 2005 and landed here about 12 years ago. Was recently elected to my Community Development District board I serve on, and a friend of mine referred me to this class, and initially the 11-week commitment seemed like it was going to be a little overwhelming, but decided to go ahead and get involved. I'm glad I did. I was hoping to maybe leverage some relationship building foundation for my work on the CDD board. But so much more than that. I think I've forged some of that, made some of those relationships, met some good people, but just realized that there's so much more to Pasco than I really had realized. We have really a world-class water park, recreation area. It was made out of a rock quarry. We have a state-of-the-art recording studio in the Hudson Library. We have really an international ice skating rink in Wesley Chapel that, for competitions. And so, yes, vibrant spaces, open spaces, vibrant places. And I think with just seeing Moffett come in this 775-acre development, I think we've really kind of laid the foundation for the growth. And, I think that kind of eases some of the growing pains that come along with it. But I think Pasco is really moving towards being the premier county in Florida. So glad to be a part of it.
Thanks for giving your time to the class and the county.
All right, anyone else? Okay. Ms. Carbella?
Great job.
Derek did a good job? All right. It was funny, him and I were waiting for my grandchild and his baby to be born, so it was kind of funny about, where are you going? What's going on now? So, thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, thank you. And I guess I also want to, as county administrator, just want to say thank you to this class as well for really being curious and inquisitive and asking the hard questions. You guys were certainly engaged, and we like to see that, because that's really what it's about. It's about learning about your local government. So fantastic program, and I did want to give a shout out to Derek, of course, as well as the entire team who worked very, very hard on their sessions. We asked them to stay late for 2.5 hours to really go through a lot of great things that we do. And so again, just thank you to the team, and thank you to you all for taking the time to do this. Well done, and congratulations.
No, and I'd like to say to all you folks that did participate and graduate, the 2 times I came to see you and spoke with you, the dialogue back and forth, I thought was awesome. Your engagement, I'm glad you got a lot out of it. Much as you mentioned, like networking, et cetera, I'm just going to give you another thing to take a look at. Maybe take a look at Leadership Pasco for the future, too. That's another great class. And that's a bit more networking, too, that you'll find. You get a kind of tour of a few more sites, not just knowing the inner workings that you've now learned. You'll even see some more things out there that maybe you didn't know that might be beneficial to you, too, to being completely involved. So, all right. So let's do a picture. I think we got so many. Do you think we can get down there? Should we stay up here?
Just for the
We'll stay
other
up here?
commissioners, so my staff goes through this. So there's one of my aides right there, Jenny. So I highly recommend it for your aides. They learn a lot, right? Okay, Jenny, up to the mic. Come on, publicly speak. Come publicly speak.
So maybe
No?
Mike, you and the Yakas come on up forward, and we'll stay back up here and
Okay.
do a picture. Perfect.
You guys are awesome.
How are you? Good. Everybody in?
We gotta get Raider in first.
Should we sign a side?
Okay, folks, the camera, or the phone first, rather. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we'll do our 43 after lunch. I'm just kidding. No, this is a great day. Our 43, Confirmation of Libraries Director.
Yes.
Sean
Good
McGarvey.
morning. Good morning, County Commissioners. Welcome back, Commissioner Bradford. Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator for Public Services, and it is a proud moment. I want to shout out to the library folks before I introduce Sean. They are here today. They are fantastic. Library of the Year for the state of Florida, so thank you for all you do each and every day. So with that said, a familiar face to some, and maybe not familiar to some of you, but Sean McGarvey. He worked with us in 2013 to 2019 as one of our library administrators. He decided to go to Hillsborough County and realized after 4 years it was a horrible move on his part. So he has now decided to come back to Pasco County as our library director, and I couldn't be more proud and more humble to have him come back to us. Sean has lots of IT experience. He's got lots of library experience, grant experience. He started our robotic team, one of the only ones that had libraries robotics. He was very instrumental in when we were passing the government obligation bond, educating our public back in 2018 on a big educational spree with him and Keith Wiley from Parks and Rec. So With that, I am respectfully asking all of you to confirm Mr. Sean McGarvey as our library director today.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call vote.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Sean, congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks. It feels really good to be back. So I just wanted to say thank you for your confidence in me, and I stand on the shoulders of giants both in the library system as a whole and the public services team, and I can't wait to get started and to work with all of you and continue to do great things for the county of Pasco.
Well, fantastic. You got a great group of people to work with. The passion shows, the performance shows even more. So should be a great run for you. We're looking forward to it. Commissioner Waitman.
Chairman, thank you. Congratulations. I know we haven't met. I'm new. You're back. So look forward to working with you. Learn a thing or two from you, hopefully. We talked about, Commissioner Starkey brought this up last meeting about what's the identity of our libraries, and it made sense. We're in a modern era. We're a different time. What is a library today? What kind of resources can it bring? What kind of out-the-box thinking can we use these fantastic facilities for our kids, for whoever, anybody in our community? And she talked about kind of bringing up a rebranding, a new identity of what our Pasco County libraries and our library system is all about and the service offerings. So I just wanted to share her thoughts with you if she hadn't already, and tell Commissioner Starkey that I've really been thinking about what you said.
Community centers.
And community centers, entertainments. What she said, and challenge you to, I guess, think bigger, and your team think bigger. What can we do to take our library system to the next level? And I'd like to see what you guys can come up with and make it a fun project. So thank you and congratulations.
Mr. Oakley.
Yeah, I would like to welcome you back, and we're glad to have you, and you got a great library system. We're already at the top, so we're going to see where you're going to take us. So, so you got a big job. So, but I just visited not too long ago the Hugh Embry Library. It just opened up for a pre-opening, and talked to some folks that were there, and they're very excited about the library and the changes that were made. So it means a lot to all our citizens for the library system, because they do serve a lot of our citizens that don't have some of the Wi-Fi and other things in their home, or computers like you would think everybody would have. Some families do not have those. So the library system really does a great job. Young and old alike, when you close one down to remodel it, look out, you're fixing to get a world of calls about it. So, and we had a lot for Hugh Embry Library there in Dade City, and we're happy it's back open. So, but thank you and welcome back.
Okay. Mr. Starkey.
So I'm so glad you're back, and I want you to come see AmSkills, and I'm hoping we can reignite that robotics team that you had, and I'd like to have those all over the county, the first robotics teams. And yeah, I think we should rename our libraries personally. I think they should be community centers, and I think some of our biggest opportunities come with those various maker spaces for continuous learning and opportunities, and why not have more activities at these centers on the weekends and the evenings? And Elaine Smith recently had an event at the Starkey, I won't call it what they call it, the Starkey Cultural Center, and she had 300 people there for a concert. Wow. For I think it was kind of like a Jimmy Buffett tribute. And that's amazing. That's amazing. So we can do a lot more in these properties. And personally, I think everyone should have a playground as well, not just the books. And we're getting one, I think, eventually in Holiday, hopefully. But yeah, they're community centers, and we look forward to hearing about all the great things you might have learned in Hillsborough, and bringing good ideas back to us. But I know you're going to be wonderful, so I'm glad you're back.
Thank you, Commissioner. I can say honestly
Chair
that
Mariano?
I took more things to Hillsborough from Pasco.
Oh.
Commissioner Bradford.
Chairman, I don't know if we're doing it now or to what degree, but, you know, public-private partnerships is a great tool to use. Kids can't do their homework without computers, and they're expensive. So I know you have to be careful ethically, but I think that's an area that we should explore.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sean, I'd bring up one idea too that we talked about and you had done before, is that Battle of the Bands. Scalloping season's back in Pasco, starting July 1st. Sun West is probably a great venue for it again, to run it up there. So I'd love to see you take a look at that, and if you want to get in there, happy to work with you on making that happen.
I believe that's Parks and Recs now, so I'll be happy to communicate and work with my
So together. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good to be back.
All right, we'll adjourn for lunch. All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Depend on you to keep them healthy. Excess fertilizer, grass clippings, trash, oils, and pet waste wash into gutters and storm drains when it rains. Stormwater carries these pollutants directly into our lakes and rivers, creating an unhealthy environment for fish, waterfowl, and other aquatic animals. Storm drains are meant for clean rainwater. Most other discharges are illegal. If you suspect an illicit discharge, please contact Pasco County Department of Public Works at 727-834-3611.
Do you like having fun and staying fit?
Do you like to be creative?
Do you like being part of your community?
Do you like a little friendly competition?
Do you like hanging out with friends?
If you're saying yes, then come join us here at Pasco County Senior Services. We have locations across the county for you to get out and enjoy great company every weekday.
And that's not all. Do you like good food?
We have free lunch every weekday for those 60 and older. Just come in and sign up. If you like what you see, come visit us at Senior Services.
We can't wait to see you!